Welcome everybody, and thank you so much, Bindaji, for taking the time in your life to go through these things and share what you found with us. We'll have the usual format today. Remember that you can find replays here and on YouTube at Bindaji's channel on YouTube that's called Advaita Retold, or you can also find it by searching Advaitic Talks.
The second chapter, Brahmananda Valli, continues. We are into the introduction of that Brahmananda Valli. Om Namo Brahmadibhyo Brahma Vidya Sampradaya Kartribhyo Vamsha Rishibhyo Mahadbhyo Namo Gurubhyaha Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpada Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutrabhashi Kridau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punaha Ishvaro Guru Ratmeti Murti Beda Vivagine Vyomavat Vyapta Dehaya Dakshina Murtaye Namaha Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Shanti Mantram Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahavidyam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Atha Pratama Anuvak number 1. Om Brahma Vidapnoti Param Tadeshabhyukta Satyam Jnanamanandam Brahma Yo Veda Nihitam Guhayam Parame Vyoman Sosnude Sarvan Kaman Saha Brahmana Vipaschiteti Tasmad Vaye Tasmad Atmana Akashas Sambhudaha Akashad Vayuhu Vayoragnihi Agnirapaha Advyah Prithvi Prithivya Oshadayaha Oshadebhyonnam Annat Purushaha Savayesha Purushonnarasamayaha Tasyedameva Shiraha Ayam Dakshinah Pakshaha Ayam Uttarah Pakshaha Ayam Atma Idam Puchcham Pratishta Tadapyesha Shloko Bhavati. Brahmavid apnoti param. One who knows Brahman, apnoti, pervades, param means the brihat or everything, the maximum. Tadebhyasha bhyukta. This is how it is to be understood as what is it is. Satyajnanam anandam Brahma. So to know Brahman, Brahmavid apnoti param. To become a Brahmavid, you should know what is Brahma. Brahmavid Brahmaiva Bhavati is the mantra from another Upanishad. So the definition given in the Taitareeya Upanishad here in the Brahmananda Valli is Satyam Jnanam Anandam Brahma. Now we have been going through the Shankaracharya's Bhashya on the Satyam Jnanam Anandam Brahma as to how it is to be understood. So still I find from the question and answer sessions what we have gone through that the clarity of Satyajnanam Anandam, how it is to be understood, is still lacking, or is my explanation is falling short for conveying the message to all of you. That is why a question was asked, Atmanam Vijanati iti chet. That I know I am, or myself. If that is the case, because the statement comes from a Purvapakshi, who says that Anyad Vijanati iti Vishesha Pradishetat Atmanam Vijanati iti chet. When it is being negated that Anyad Vijanati, if you know something other than, then you are not knowing Brahma. You are knowing everything other than Brahma. Na bhuma lakshana vidiparat vakyasya. This vakyasya, this statement will not fit the bhuma or Brahma lakshana. Because yatra na anyat pasyati, anyat shrunoti, anyat vijanati. This is the lakshana vakya in the Chandogya Upanishad. Yada prasiddhameva anyat pasyati ityetat upadaya. Suppose if we are accepting that we have always known the objects as we are the subject. So the subject knows the object, or the subject knowing the object. That is what anyo anyat pasyati iti upadaya. If that is that, in a state where tatra yet nasti, in a state or in a condition where that is not there, yet it is vijanati. It is still knowing. The knowing where there is no subject, object, and the act of knowing. How can be that a knowing? Sa bhuma idi bhuma swarupam tatra jnapyate. There, in that case, the knowing is the swarupa or the nature in which the subject and the object and the act of knowing is happening. Just as in a space, activity of motion takes place. There is an object, there is a distance, and the movement over a distance is happening of the object and the distance and the movement. But all the three can happen only if there is this akasha or the space. What is akasha? Avakasha datra. The one which gives rise the potency to have the nature of occupation. If something is occupying or is existing, it indeed needs akasha or the space. Without a space, we cannot even imagine anything existing. It can be mental space, it can be physical space, but space or a location is mandatory for an object to be existing. And in that, if a kriya or an action has to happen from point A to point B, a movement or even a trembling or a pulsation has to happen, it can happen only in the place where there is either the object or the distance or the space which gives itself to occupy. Same way, Jnanam, when it is being mentioned here in the Satyam, Jnanam, Anandam, we are all familiar with our knowledge of knowing things. So Jnanam means knowledge. So that knowledge needs knowledge or experience, whatever may be the word which is conveying that. Experience is also knowledge only. So all these things are happening where there is a knower or the one who is knowing, and there is an object which is being known. And this act of knowing can happen only where there is a knower and a known object to be known to be present in state. Now, necessarily, these three, the subject, the object, and the act of knowing, has to happen in an environment or in a place, a bhava sadhana, or a nature in which the knowledge without the subject, object and knowing itself is present for the tree to perform, the subject to become a knower, the object to become a known, and the act of knowing. So, jnanam nettirupaha avabodha bhava sadhanam, that definition which has been defined for jnanam can happen only when it is neither the subject nor the object nor the act of knowing, but the substratum in which the act of knowing itself is happening. That environment of knowledge or the substratum of knowledge where you have a activity happening of knowing or experiencing, that is what is called jnanam or bhava rupa. So, anyagrahanasya prapta prasideshedartatvat na swatmani kriyasti paratvam vakyam, aparattam vakyam, kriyastitvam param vakyam. Anya grahanasya means anyasya grahanasya. When there is something else to be grasped or understood or known or experienced, prapta pradeshedartatvat, there is a attainment or a achievement of knowing or grasping or experiencing. Pradeshedartatvat, when that is being negated toward, na swatmani, in oneself, it will not happen. What? Kriyastitva param vakyam. This statement of experiencing, grasping, knowing, understanding, whatever may be the method of knowledge being happening or knowledge taking place, that cannot happen when there is only the self, the Atman or the knower itself. He is no more a knower. He becomes the knowledge substratum itself. How? For example, when a pot is being created, we say we got a space for storage of things or filling water or grain, whatever it is. We think that we created a space of pot, but actually speaking, we are not creating a space. The space is already there. What we have created is a container or a holder, place holder for the space to be used for the purpose of storing or etc. Same way, in the knowledge, when the act of knowing takes place of anything other than the subject, we call ourselves as the subject and the object known as the object. But that cannot happen if the knower alone is existing, or when we are talking Brahmavit, the knower of Brahman. So here Brahman itself is the knowledge or jnanam. In that case, how can the Brahmavit become the knower of Brahman? Even though other Upanishads, even the teachers, even the masters, all will use the word, you should know yourself, you should find out yourself, or you should know Brahman, you should do what you call meditation on Brahman, etc. All these things are being mentioned in the different teachings. But what are they? We are not understanding what is supposed to be the intended meaning of the statements. We go by the verbal meaning or the apparent meaning. Here also, the opponent is understanding knowing oneself is taking place, that I know myself as a object. How can the subject become the object? What actually happens in the process is that the mental, like the pot has come, the mental activity of knowing is now used by the subject, and it is positioning itself as an object through the mind. So, not as an object at the time of knowing. The knowing takes place a fraction of a second after the concept is being absorbed by the mind, and we think that we are knowing ourselves, but actually we are not knowing ourselves. We are perceiving ourselves through our mind. And it is the mind which is cognizing ourselves or the knower as an object at that time. So the object of knower present in the mind is now being known, and we call it as I know myself, or I know that I am, I exist. All these things are mental vrittis or mental activities, because we are not able to leave our traditional transactional knowledge of knowing using the mind. But when the Upanishad says that it is Nyapti, means pure knowledge, Avabodha means pure bodha, where there is no subject, object and knowing, or Bhava Sadhana, the environment or the container or the substratum of knowledge itself. So, when it is pratisheda, when it is being denied that anyagrahana, that there is a possibility of something else to be grasped, there the problem of knowing is through the mind. Knowing the self is what is being denied. Swatmani cha bheda abhavat vijnana anupapatti. Anupapatti means not being cognized. Vijnana anupapatti means that jnana anupapatti means it is the ignorance or the knowledge of not knowing. You cannot call it as ignorance. It's a knowledge of not knowing. What? Swatmani, in oneself, Beda Abhavat, because there is no Beda as knower and known in one self. In oneself, there is no knower and known at the simultaneously. So the opponent is again asking the same question, which was asked in the last question and answer session. Nyayatvena jnatratvena eka eva atma ubheda bhavati chet. At the simultaneously, it is knowing and it is the known also. How can it happen? So Acharya Shankara very categorically denies that, saying that na yugapat, in simultaneous condition it cannot happen. But if it is not simultaneous, can it happen? Yes, it can happen through the mind. Because the mind objectifies the self, and the object of self reflected in the mind becomes the object for the self to know. That way you can know, you may feel that you are knowing yourself, you know you exist, and etc. everything. That time is because it will not happen when there is no anamshat. Anamshatvad, there is no bifurcation possible in one entity as known and the knower. That is the Ardhajardiya Nyaya, that the same person is half young and half old. It can never happen. Or it can, the other thing is an Atmasraya dosham, we can say. You cannot climb on your own shoulder. Okay, you want to do a climbing, you can have to use somebody else's shoulder. You cannot climb on your own shoulder. So, that anamshatvad, nahi niravayavasya yugapat nyayat nyatra upapatti. Niravayavasya, Atma is niravayava, without any parts or any limbs. None of them. Ekam. That is a unified one. In that, this cannot happen of knower and known in the simultaneously. So, jnana upadeshana anarthakyam bhavet. If it is happen taking this way, that it can be known, the knower can know itself, if it is a gadadivat neyatve, if it becomes an object to be known, that jnana upadesha anarthakyam, then it is Brahma or Atma also will become any other object like thing, like for the subject to know it, as like the pot or the cow or the animal or the plant or the tree or anything, like Brahma or Atman will become another object, that's all. If it is the Gadadivat, Atma will not become Atma, it will become Anatma. Jada, it will become a Jada. So therefore the Jnana Upadesha will not be possible. Anarthakyam. It is futility of the Jnana Upadesha. Because we have known so many things in the world, millions of things to be known, but that has not removed our samsara problem or the problems of mundane life, or we do not get into the state of kritakrityata, that having known what is to be known, there is nothing to be known. That state we are not achieving. Nor do we have the satisfaction of having achieved fullness, kritakrityata. So, only when this is seen as Jnanopadesha will become Arthavan, if it is not an object like separate from subject. What is to be known, the Brahman or Atman, cannot be separate from Atman or Brahman, then only the Jnana Upadesha will become Arthavan. That is why Sanmatram cha Anubhavannam Jnana Kartru. Sat Matram. Sat Satyam. That Satyam and Jnanam together is indicating only one aspect of which is called Sanmatram or Satjnana Matram. Satyam. Tat Satyam Tatyamasi Shetaketu. That in the Tattvamasi, thou what? In that statement, we all know when somebody says who you are. I have a fair idea who I am. But I do have no idea of that. Tat Satyam. That Satyam, which is now standing for Brahma, is not known to me. So when it is told that I am that Satyam, I am that Brahma or Atma, I should not be looking for Atma, Brahma outside me. Outside me means outside my own knowledge of myself. There is no knowledge of myself as a subject and an object separately. I am knowledge because I know things. That knowledge is my nature. So when I am knowing my nature, when that is being told, Tattvamasi Shvetaketo, we should understand that Tattvamasi is indicating that what we are in reality. And that is being mentioned by the Father as Tat Satyam. That is the Satyam, that Satyam Jnanam Anandam Brahma Satyam. Tasmat Satya Ananda Shabdabhyam Saha. So therefore, only when Satyam, that is means that which is not undergoing any changes or modification or alteration, what is remaining the same at all times, all the conditions, every time, everywhere, in all conditions. Ananda Shabda, where there is no separation, na kaschit pravivajyate, in no way you can bifurcate it. Therefore, no bifurcation of the knower and the known is possible in that Brahman or in the Atman. So, that it doesn't go through a change and it cannot be bifurcated. Visheshanattvena, in the form of an adjective, Jnana Shabdasya Prayogad Bhava Sadhana Jnana Shabda. That is the time when the Jnana Shabda, the word Jnana, becomes a Bhava Sadhana. The container, the entangle, the environment or the substratum of knowledge itself. How Shabdasya Prayoga, with that Jnana Shabda, along with Satyam and Jnana, Satyam and Anandam, and individually Satyam has got its own meaning. Individually Anandam has its own meaning. Individually Jnanam has got the meaning. In transactional world, we have been using these words a dime a dozen. We have no doubt about the meaning of the word. But when the Upanishad says that it has to be concomitantly used, that the Satyam, Jnanam and Anantam has to be applied in one condition, in one place, that is the time when it becomes sarthakam or meaningful. It is taking out all the negativity of what is not Satyam means Anartham, what is not Anandam means what is limited, Alpam, or what is Jnanam means what is not the nature of knowledge itself, but Jadavastu. Everything what is known is known as Jada, and the knower is known as Chetana or the Chaitanyam or Chit. So, only when we have the meaning, this is why in Sanskrit we have a saying Vitpanna. Vitpanna means one who has the complete knowledge about language of words and their meanings. Pada padartha jnanam. Without the word and the word meaning or the object of the word, when it is standing for it, it has to be understood in both the sense that there is a apparent meaning and there is an intended meaning. That intended meaning is called the lakshyartha. So otherwise lakshanartha. In the lakshana rupa, when the words Satyam, Jnanam and Anandam are used in concomitance or in together, applicable to one object, which negates every individual meaning to Satyam, Jnanam and Anandam and applicable simultaneously to only one item, there is no two item where this can be applied. That such a word is what is defined by the word Brahma. Brahma, we know Brihatvad Brahma, that which encompasses everything. So, the Jnanam Brahma is used for negating Achid Rupada Nivartyartham. Achit Rupam means all objectificationable items, which is the word Anurtam. Yes, that Anurtam, Alpam, and Jnana, other than Jnana, which is Achit Rupada, which is Nivartyartham. So Jnanam, when it is be used, it is not for the Achit or Jadam, it is only for the Chit. And Chit is only in Satchitanandam or Atma Brahman, in that. Jnanam Brahma iti Vachanat Prapta Anandatvam Laukikasya Jnanasya Andavatva Darshanat. That is why how we have to understand. I hope it is very clear now. There is no possibility of bifurcation as the knower and known in Atma or Brahman. There is no way Jada or the objects which is known present in Brahman. Or there is no way in what keeps changing, means that changing takes place not only in the object, but in the way it is known, so it has to be other than the one who is knowing it or the one whose knowledge is the nature. So in all these forms, we have to understand that The Brahma word has got uniqueness, and that can be only conveyed through Satyam, Jnanam, Anandam. The other way is Sat, Chit and Ananda. In either case, there also is thing. Now, among you who are more interested to do the Dalakrityam, there is one thing called Dalakrityam, means studying in words and their details into, the etymology and all sorts of words which can be, how this can be applied wherever it cannot be applied anything, how this can be combined together. All these things are detailed in a book called Vichara Sagara. And those who want to read that with, breaking your brain or intellectually, logically and all these things, you can go there and study that. But the entire Vichara Sagara book is based on this aspect of Satyam, Jnanam and Anandam Brahma, how it has been written. So those who want to further study can take the book and read it. So I'll enter to today's class. Satyadinam Anardadi Dharma Nivritti Paratvad Visheshasya cha Brahmanaha Utpaladivat Aprasiddhatvad Mrigatrashnambasisnada Khapushpashakrita Shekaraha Yesha Vandyosudo Yati Shashasringa Dhanurdaraha Itivat Shunyartha Taiva Prapta Sattadi Vakyasya Iti Chet. So the Purvapakshi is asking. Now when you have asked the Visheshya for Brahmana, like how the Utpala or the lotus, the Mahat, Sugandhi, Neelam, these are the adjectives which were used in the case of a lotus. In my example, I said the tall boy with a red hat and a blue shirt, which was helping us to segregate one boy among the rest of the thing. Here, when you are segregating using this adjective Satyam, Jnanam and Anandam, we are not familiar with anything which is one word where all the three can be applicable. Are you in one way or the other indicating Shunya or Abhava? Nivritti Paratvad. Anurtadi Dharma Nivritti Paratvad means Anurtam, that Satyam Anurtam, So Adi Dharma means Satyam, that opposite Anurtam. Like that. Here in the Satyam, Jnanam, Anandam, the only word Anandam is a two-word combination, whereas Satyam is one word, Jnanam is one word. Anandam, even though it appears to be one word, it is combination of two words, Nan and Andam. Andam means end or limitation. Anandam means one without limitation, means infinite. So that word has without limitation, it is two words. So Anandam means without limitation, indirectly saying infinite. Mahat, Brahma. These are the words. So instead of Brahma, the definition cannot be Brahma itself. So there has to be used another word. That is why the word Ananda has been used. So that all these things are showing now there is an abhava. That which is not Satyam can have to be removed. That which is not Jnanam means all the Chit, Achit, all has to be removed. All the things which have got an Andavatvam means limitation has to be removed. There is nothing which in our transactional world where we can apply this Satyam, Jnanam, Anandam together to know something. And you say it is something which cannot be known because it is not a Jada. So that means you are only showing at Shunyartha eva prapta satyadi vakyasya iti chet. Now for example, they're quoting a word they used to abuse Shankaracharya himself, which I told you in the last class. Mrigatrashnambasisnada, having taken bath in the water of mirage. Kha pushpa kruta shekara, adorning the flower from the sky. Esha vandya sudo yadi, this barren woman's son is coming with a walking stick, which is Shankaracharya's signature stick, which has been always shown in the pictures. That is being now referred here as Shashasringa Dhanurdhara. As this, that is the Dhanu, that the bow and arrow of Shashasringa, means hair, the horn of the hare. So that, are you indicating Shunyatvam? Is the question which the Purva Pakshi is now asking Shankaracharya. Acharya is saying, no. Lakshanartatvat. They say they are all Visheshya, definitely, but they are not indicating Shunyata, because Shunyata doesn't have a Lakshana. Lakshanartatva, they have a Lakshanartha. These words have got a Lakshyartha. Lakshanartha means Lakshyartha. The intended meaning is available for the three words Satyam, Jnanam and Anandam. Visheshanatve api Satyadinam Lakshanartha Pradhanyam ityavochama. Lakshanartha Pradhanyam ityavochama. We are insisting on that Pradhanyam, importance is for the Lakshanartha, or the intended meaning of the three words Satyadina. Satyam, Jnanam, Anandam. Even though they are Visheshanatve api, even though they are adjectives, Visheshanatvam doesn't see, that is another thing which we have to understand. The adjectives by default cannot indicate the object, the exemplified, or the noun. The adjectives will be applicable to multiple nouns. Here you have got three adjectives, even though they are Visheshanatvam. That means they have the nature of adjective. They have the potency to give an intended meaning, even though the adjectives by themselves can be applied in multiple places. But when all the three are applied together, it can be applicable only to one. Just as tall boy with a red hat and a blue shirt will segregate one boy, or that lotus which is big, blue and smelling nice will segregate among the many lotuses one lotus which is big, the biggest, or whatever in the way in which it has to be understood, and it is a blue one and has got a good smell. So that way, Lakshyartham Pradhanyam iti avochama. We are saying that even though they are adjectives, the importance has to be given to the intended meaning. Shunya hi lakshye anarthakam lakshanavachanam. So anarthakam, lakshanavachanam, lakshye, in the intended place becomes anarthakam or inapplicable in the event of shunya, because shunya cannot be satyam, shunya cannot be jnanam, and shunya can be anandam. But what is shunyam? Nobody knows. Nobody has seen what is shunyam, even though we all think there is something called shunyam. Not a single person who has normal intellect can say that I know shunyam. But the very statement I know shunyam is denying the shunyata of that, because the knower is present, so it cannot be shunyam. So the standard saying that when I am saying there is no book on the table, there is a table and a book. If I am saying there is no book there, means I am saying that the book is not there, but on the table is there. So Adhikaranam will be always shown that. Adhikaranam means the substratum on which the absence is being felt or attributed will be the one which is negating the absence itself. So abhava can never be a a place where these Lakshana Vakyas can be applied. Satyam, Jnanam and Anandam. Ataha, Lakshanartvam Lakshanartvam etam anyamahe. Lakshanartatvat manyamahe. So, therefore, we are only saying that these three are for knowing the intended meaning. Na shunyartat iti. Not for it is indicating shunyata or the absence of not anartham, chit or jadam, etc. etc. Visheshanartatvepi cha satyadinam swartha parityaga eva. Even though the Visheshanartatve api, even though they have got adjectival meaning for the Satyadinam, Swartha Parityaga eva, they are abandoning their independent meaning when it is being applied to the object intended by the three words put together. That means Satyam will drop the Satyam meaning when it is applied along with Jnanam and Anantam. Otherwise, it cannot. It cannot abandon the meaning because every word has got a meaning and their meaning indicates an object. So when it has to move away from its intended meaning, it has to have a combination whereby it negates its independent applicability. Therefore, Satyam, when it is being Swartha Parityaga, it is abandoning its meaning of Satyam. It cannot do is unless the other two words of Jnanam and Anandam also is available to support that abandoning of the independent meaning. Same way, Jnanam or Chit, here Jnanam is indicating what is not Chit, that is Achit Rupata. All the Jada when it is being removed, Jada here means objects. All objects when it is being removed, the knower remains, but the knower, that word jnanam jnana kartrutvam will not applicable because Satyam and Anandam has also have to come into place together. The knower, when it is knowing anything, if he is knowing a cow, he is not a knower of a tree. When he is knowing a tree, he is not a knower of cow. So there is a change. So a change when it is happening, it cannot be Satyam. That which doesn't change is Satyam. So here the knower is changing the knower of the cow to the knower of the tree. Therefore, he cannot be Satyam. Therefore, it is not a knower of anything which is an objectified knowing. Anything which is objectified knowing cannot be Satyam and Jnanam and Anandam also. Anandam means there is but if it is applied that, in that case, if it is that he is knowing himself, I know my Atma, I know myself. If it is that way, no. Because if it is there, then Amsha will happen. Part of you will become the knower and the other part of you will become the known, the object. That bifurcation of knower and known in one object or one subject can never happen. If it happens, the Anandada will not happen because Anandada is Anyasya Anyagrahana is removed there. So, na Anyat Pashyati, na Anyat Vijanadi, na Anyat Shrunoti. So that type of this thing is being removed by that aspect. Therefore, Swartha Parityaga Eva. That is why when the Lakshana is being indicated, Satyam loses its meaning, Jnanam loses its independent meaning, Anandam loses its independent meaning, but their combined meaning will be applicable, which is not the independent meanings. शून्यार्थत्वे हि सत्यादि शब्दानां विशेष निवृत्तित्वाद् अनुपपत्ति. विशेष निवृत्तित्व अनुपपत्ति. Vishesha Nivrittitva. That adjectiveness is Niyandratvad. Satyadi Shabdatvanam Vishesha Niyandratvad. So here, that word has to be explained. Visheshasya Niyandratvam. Niyanta means one which is being indicated, the subject, the name, the word, the adjective which indicates, say for example, I am saying the boy with a red hat. So the red hat is an adjective. The adjective red hat is a niyanda. Niyanda means one who defines a aspect in the object. Same way, if I say the boy is with a blue shirt, the blue shirt adjective becomes a niyanda for segregating him from the rest of the people who are wearing the blue shirt. Non-blue shirt. Same like that, if I am saying he's tall, the tall nature of the boy is segregating him from all other people who are not tall. So there is a niyanda or defining aspect for the visheshyas. If shunyatva is to be indicated, shunyatvartatvehi, satyadi shabdana, the satyadi shabda will not have a defining nature in the event if it is a shunya is what is being indicated. So, satyadi artatvetu tat viparita dharmavadbhyo visheshebhyo brahmanaha visheshasya niyandratvad upapadyate. So, what does this statement mean? Satyadi artaihi. The words Satyadi, Satyam, Jnanam and Anandam, all the three arthas, Arthavatvetu, even though independently they have the meanings, Tat Viparita Dharma Vadbhyaha. They are taking the opposite meanings of the Satyajnanam Anandam Brahma, Tatyajnanam Anandam, Visheshebhya. As adjectives they are not indicating, but they are going through the Lakshanartha or the Lakshyartha, thereby landing on Brahmanaha, Visheshasya. Brahmana means Visheshya. Is the one with the noun which is now being, where the adjectives are applicable. That is why Niyandratvam Upapadyate. Then the definition becomes meaningful and applicable. So we have to now understand that the word Shunya cannot be defined by Sat, because Satyam, Jnanam and Anandam, when it is being applied together, the Satya loses its meaning, the Jnana loses its meaning, the Ananda loses its meaning. So you automatically it will lead to Shunyata, because Satyam, we know all the known things, Jnanam, all the known things, Anandam, we know all the known things. So Satyam, Jnanam and Anandam, when applied together, the opponent or the Purva Pakshi thinks it is Shunyata, and to deny that, tad viparita dharma vadbhyaha visheshebhyaha brahmanaha visheshasya niyandratvam upapadyate. Only in such a case, even be remaining as adjectives, but abandoning tad viparita dharma vadbhyaha, that their independent opposite meanings is being applied in combination, and then only we will arrive at the meaning of Brahman. Brahma Shabdopi Swartena Arthavaneva. The word Brahma by itself, is having its own independent meaning. We know that Mahat Brihatvad Brahma, Brihi, Vardhanau, is the root from word the Brahma word has been derived. Vitpanna Shabda Hasti. That is the one word which has been derived by the etymology. Brihatvad Brahma. One that is encompassing everything. Arthavaneva. It has got its own meaning. But that meaning, if it is known as Brihatvad, it will become an object like anything else. Like the sky. The sky is also Brihatvad. I will think there is something which is called Brahma, like the sky. So it will become an object for my knowledge. So I'll become the knower and Brahma will become an object for me as known. Therefore, Satyam and Jnanam and Anandam adjectives cannot be applied to Brahma because it becomes Achit. Because it becomes an object, known. So it will not become Jnanam. And since it is Brihatvad, as it is formed out of a word which is Vitpanna Shabda, Artha, Padapadartha Shabda, when from the word and the word meaning, it is giving me an objectifying meaning or as an object. Therefore, I cannot apply the three words concomitantly or in unison on the word Brahma if it is, I am using the Swartha. The Swartha means by its own meaning. But this is where most of the places where we mistake that Brahma is also an object to be understood or Atma is also an object that can be understood. To remove that, Acharya adds the final statement. Tatra Ananta Shabdaha. In that case, the Brahma, Brihi, Vardhanau, Mahat, Brihatvad, this is the Swartha. Tatra Ananda Shabdaha. The Ananda Shabda, which is also have the same meaning, Andavatva Pradisheda Dwarena, by the Andavatva Pradisheda Dwarena means the possibility of any sort of bifurcation possible in it. As an object, I the subject, that type of a bifurcation, if it is thinking possible, they have to be pradisheda. They have to be negated. Andavatva pradesheda dwarena visheshanam. Then only the noun Brahma will make any sense from its own independent meaning, which is Brihatvad Brahma. Therefore, Satyajnana Shabdau tu Swartha Samarpaneneva Visheshanaha Bhavati. Bhavataha. Visheshane Bhavataha. Ananda Shabda, only when that Pradisheda Dwarena Brahmasya Artham Bhavati. It will become the meaning of Brahma only when the opposite of the Ananda meaning is taken. Ananda meaning, that which cannot be, that Ananta will become where there is any bifurcation is possible. That Anandatvam Pradisheda Dwarena, that is being now to be taken along with Satyam and Jnanam, then the objectification is not. Therefore, it becomes a Pradisheda Dwara. Anandavatva. But Ananda by itself is Brahma. Satyam Jnanam Anandam Brahma. Anandam is Brahma. There in other places also, we have learned that, Sarvam Khalu Idam Brahma, everything is Brahma. So that word where the Brahma includes everything. So Ananda Shabdam can be thought as the real meaning of Brahman. But when it is applied along with Satyam and Jnanam, then the Andavatva Pradisheda takes place. The possibility of bifurcation of a objectifiable Brahman is being negated by the Pradisheda Dwarena. Then only it becomes meaningful Therefore, arthavat bhavati, visheshanam bhavati. Then it becomes the noun with capable of taking the adjective anantam along with satyam jnanam. But satyam and jnanam swartha samarpaneneva visheshane bhavataha. Independently, without abandoning their own name, can apply to Brahma. Satyam, tat satyam, tattvamasi shvetaketo, satyasya satyam. These are all the words which is used for Brahma. Same word, prajnanam Brahma. We have heard that meaning also. So we know that satyam and jnanam can be applied to Brahma independently. But anantata, where there is a split possible as knower and known, that cannot be applied in the case of Brahman. Therefore, Satyam, Jnanam and Anandam Brahma, one who understands it in the Lakshanartha meaning, where it is to be applied and understood, such a person becomes Brahmavit. So, Brahmavit apnodi param, when we started, it is complete only when you know Satyam, Jnanam, Anandam Brahma. And that Satya Jnanam Anandam Brahma, how it is to be understood, has been explained by Shankaracharya. And if we understand it in the proper Manana Nididhyasana method, this intended meaning or the Lakshanartha of Satya Jnanam Anandam Brahma, each one of us will become Brahmavit. We will become Brahmavit, knower of Brahman. Only when it will happen. How does it happen? When you go towards Lakshanartha, all things which can be negated, neti, can be brought in by the Manana Nididhyasana. And in the culmination of the Nididhyasana, when all the neti, the Badavati, when the Badavati means when the negation ends, what remains is the one who is negating, who cannot be bifurcated further. As anything that can be said as I am now the knower, and knower has to have a known. Therefore, I am not even the knower. When that is also negated, that state when I am not even the knower, I become the knowledge, jnana swarupa. That is the time when that satyam, jnanam and anandam will take us to the intended meaning of Brahman, and then we become Brahmavit. And then when we know that Brahmavit apnoti param, that becomes a swarthakam, and that will become effective, and we will have the freedom and the abhayam, jnanam, kaivalyam, all the things which we can talk about Brahma becomes a reality to us when that light shines within ourselves as the knowledge is the light. We don't need another torch or another light to know ourselves. This is not knowing ourselves as an object. It is not a knowing at all. It is a being in knowledge. Therefore, don't use the word I know myself, because you can never know yourself. You can be yourself. And in that being, you know that the substratum of all the knowledge which has been taking place was my Swarupa. All the Satyam were that all the things which has Anrutam has been is seen in my knowledge, or that knowledge of the substratum, and that is the Anandada, and I am the infinite, and everything is within me. And that is the time when the Lakshanartha, Bhuma, becomes Sarthagam, that Yatrana Anya Pasyadi, Anya Shrunoti, Anya Dvijanati, where there is nothing second to me to be known, to be heard, to be understood. Thereby, I become the Brahman, I become the Atma, I become Satyajnanam Anandam. That is how one has to meditate upon oneself on that Shravana Manana Nididhyasana route. And not by considering Atma or Brahman as an object to be meditated upon. Nedam ididam upasate. not the one which is to be meditated upon. I'll stop it here and we'll continue the etasmat atmana. How does that meaning come from the next sans verse onwards? Acharya is getting into that explanation from the next class. So we'll take it from the next class. ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यम् करवावहै तेजस्विनावतीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदम् पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरिः ओम् श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ओम् थैंक यू धन्यवाद
Thank you very, very much, Binduji. Really, really good class. And thank you for going back and picking up from the last class and the last question and answer. If there are people who were involved with that who want to pick that back up by coming up and speaking about it, you're very welcome. I think it's very important. Anyone new, definitely feel free to join the house. And if you're new to or have missed out on some of the classes for the Taitareeya Upanishad, if you were to listen to the past few, and again, the very first, that'll probably help you moving forward. So, Prakash, could you go ahead and I'll open up hand raising and chat.
This was a very deep dissection of Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahman. Thank you, Pranam Binduji. I don't have any particular question, but you mentioned the word Yugavat Sushti. So, is it a part of the mentation of things that is being deeply probed into here to the extent that is perceived? Is that right way
no
of understanding? Okay.
here Yugapat is used to deny the simultaneous. Yugapat means simultaneous, instantaneous. Simultaneous application of knower and known on the self or Brahman. Simultaneously it cannot happen. That is why Yugapat, the word is na Yugapat Anamshatvad is a statement. Anamsham means you cannot bifurcate. Amsham. Anamsham means not bifurcate. So the knower or known, the knower itself cannot divide himself into knower and the known at the same time, instantaneously, simultaneously.
Okay. We'll listen to this class again because there is a lot of deep manana that happens in this. Thank you, Binduji.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prakash. Namaste, Karen.
Namaste, everyone. So, if I understood it correctly, there's nothing one can objectify within themselves, even because as soon as you see it in front of you, it becomes already chit, and then whatever information is available in the chit is going to try to describe it, and as soon as it becomes descriptive. Then we know it's already chit, right? So in that state, if it is totally subjective and it is known without even looking at it or putting it in front of you, everything is known in that state, right?
Karan, I have to correct you. It is not chit. Whatever is known is achit.
Oh,
Achit means
achit.
jada.
Okay.
Okay. So the moment you have a separation, the moment you know anything, that becomes an object. Even if you think that you know yourself. That is why I said it is a happening in the mind. Because we know ourselves as a knower. That knower, what is happening in the mind, is confused as the real knower. Because all the knowing for us is happening in the intellect or in the mind. So when we say that I know myself, the tendency is to confuse the knowing principle in the mind as the subject itself. So that is why it has to be understood very clearly that there cannot be that bifurcation possible. You cannot stand on your own shoulders, or the same person cannot be half young and half old. That type of a negation will have to happen, that if you say that you are knowing yourself, you will never know yourself. You can be yourself. That nature of us being the substratum for knowledge,
So is that state
that knowledge is different. Pardon?
Is that state called beyond mind?
Yes, it is beyond mind.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Karan.
Yeah, Chandra, that in one, I think we started with that Bhava Sadhano Gnana Shabdaha. That landing was good, Binduji. This Bhava Sadhana, I think to contemplate on it, there is a Aham Bhava, Atma Bhava. That I amness versus Atma Bhava. I will not try to describe too much. Aham Bhava is more closer, that naturally, available with one with the ego. Aham Bhava. Atma Bhava, this is where that the Bhava Sadhana is to move away from Aham Bhava to Atma Bhava. And that shows Atma Pratyaya, Aham Pratyaya, Atma Pratyaya. That Bhavartha means to get to the root of it. Can you explain a little more about Atma Pratyaya, Aham Pratyaya? That eventually will help separate that Bhava Sadhana is to get to the Atma Bhava or Atma Pratyaya. So that can you explain a little more this particular Bhava Sadhana?
Even Bhava Sadhana is basically the substratum, the knowledge as a substratum, or as a container, or the placeholder for the subject, object, and knowing taking place. But when you talk about Aham Pratyaya and Atma Pratyaya, you have to understand them as different, because Aham Pratyaya is the individuality, whereas Atma Pratyaya is where the individuality ceases to exist. Yet there is existence of ours which we are not knowing. The only example which I can show you is the deep sleep, where you don't have the individuality. You don't know you are existing, or your individuality is existing as what you thought in the waking and dream, or the place, location, male, female. Again, none of these adjectives or the individuality, the Aham Pratyaya is not applicable. When that is it is called Atma Pratyaya. But there are a lot of people saying that in deep sleep we have the avidya. That is when you are looking from the point of view of the avidya as a cause for the body. But you don't even know the body is existing or your individuality is existing. So there is no avidya. The avidya as a karanam is resulting in the existence of a separate individuality. The separate individuality for a deep sleeper is not there. But the waker, when he talks about the deep sleep, there is that individuality there. So the waker now says that there is avidya there in the deep sleep. So it's only the waker which is saying the avidya part of it. From the point of view of the experience of the deep sleep, there is no individuality, there is no ego, there is no mind, there is nothing, there is no knower, there is no known, nothing. Yet, you cannot deny anything. I mean, you cannot deny anything because there is only one thing that you cannot deny. That is why there is no denial of anything. Right?
Yes, Manaji. See, if you take it this way, avidya, even if you take it a causal form, avidya into a deep sleep, eventually lead to, aham bhava, right? In that root, avidya, upon a waking, it will lead to that aham bhava. Upon vidya, upon waking, lead to, you can say, atma bhava. Whatever is there, that will sprout.
Atma Bhava
Right.
is not in the waking. Atma Bhava is not in the waking. Atma Bhava, as long as the Aham Bhava is there, or the Aham Pratyaya is there, or individuality feeling is there, that Atma Pratyaya cannot be separated out. It is there as a substratum, but you will be shifting yourself into the individuality. Only when your ego is totally nil, which how and when, that is why all the methodology in the spirituality is being explained to is to negate your individuality or the ego, not the egotism, or whatever word I don't know what to use that. Apart from that, when the moment your individuality is felt or experienced, then you have the anya darshanam. You will see the second one. You will see the world, you will see the objects and everything. But when the Atma Bhava is there, that is the time when it is yatra nanyat pasyati anyat shrunoti anyat vijanati, where you don't see anything, where you don't hear anything, we don't understand or comprehend anything. You are in yourself. That Atma Bhava is something which cannot be paroksha. It has to be aproksha. Because paroksha means the moment the paroksha means the sense organs and the mind will come. The mind and the individuality will come.
Sure. I think this is clear, Binoji. I think this is now the section is good. This I think that as we move into that Shunya versus Brahman, that Satya means that the opposite taken, right? Satya means Anruta Bhava, or Gnana means Agnana Bhava, Ananta means Anta Abhava. So taking negative as interpretation and try to arrive at Shunya I think that is well refuted by the Bhashya. Because it is the Lakshana is that otherwise the Lakshana will go waste. Each of the Lakshana now taken in a way that it's combined and applied. When you combine and apply it, and you should not look at the abhava portion of it because that's a wrong way of contemplation. But the bhava rupa of each of them, Satya, Gnana, Ananta, and Brahma bhava. This bhava seems, to, as you said, eventually the Brahma bhava is there and the other three to be combined and looked at. The Ananta cannot be a space. Then it will become again gross. So to be combined and applied and recognized. So maybe this is that abhava taken out or the shunya taken out in this whole bhasha. I think I need to contemplate a little more on how the dimension of contemplation applied here. You should not apply one by one. Rather, you combine and apply it. The lakshana Vertha. The way the argument is built, you should not take the path of abhava, but take the path of bhava. Then only the answer can be found. This is how I summarize it. Maybe which would be here.
Venkat, you have to do one thing. See, in the vernacular language, we use the word bhava in different meanings. So, you should be very clear what intended meaning you are using for bhava, because bhava can be in the swabhava, abhava, bhava sadhanam, right? Like that, it's in the satta, it is here. So the words have got the bhava, mean bhu is the root from where these meanings are arrived at. That is why the vyutpatti means the etymological expertise of linking between the word and the meaning of the word meaning to the object of the word meaning. These three are very important. If any slight misappropriation in that, your understanding will go for a 6, because you will be thinking about one meaning and what the Bhashyakara is thinking is written is different. So you should be able to understand. That is why, as much as possible, why do I repeat these Satyajnanam Anandam so much, is that there is every chance for every one of us to objectify Brahman and Atman unknowingly. I'm saying that knowingly nobody is doing. Everybody wants to have the spiritual knowledge and that experience, or that knowledge which will take us away from all the mundane problems of life and all. Moksha or the Kaivalya. But what happens is that when we do not apply the right meaning to the words, the lakshyartha will not be achieved, or the spot where the words are supposed to make you land by certain route will not happen, and we may get a different meaning and we'll think that we have achieved, but that will be not the place where the lakshyartha is taking us. So we need to do a lot of rereading of this portion and contemplate on that, and still if you have doubt, clarify it, and then we'll go ahead further.
Sure, Bandaji. I think the way I'm applying it is, for example, Satya means Andruta Abhava. That means I'm not trying to look at object coming and going in my perception. Rather, the existence as Satyam as an aparoksha, in the aparoksha, that undeniable existence. So is the Gnanam. Agnana Bhava, knowing and unknowing, which is applied to the I know something, I don't know something, it will not go there. Rather, that knowing within is taken. And Ananta is...
The
Yes.
jnana is not only knowing and unknowing. It is the known and the knower. It is also knowing is knowing and unknowing is within the knowing. Here then it is not talking about that. That is why I am repeating again. It is not knowing and not knowing. It is not to differentiate between the knower and the known. The chit and the jada, which is the normal thing which we are not able understanding that. Jnanam here is not knowledge. Even though knowledge is the another word supplied by the word chit. We think that chit is different, jnanam is different. No, chit and jnanam is identical, which means chaitanyam, and that chaitanyam is the knowledge swarupa, or the very nature of knowledge, and that is what is called chaitanya or the chit. So when the jnana is being mentioned, you should take is jada. All jada should be avoided. All
The
jada
Tripudi
means
goes away, right, Binduji? See, if you
Triputi also goes away. Triputi also goes away, and when all Jada is gone, not only the Jada is no gone, the knowing of Jada is gone, the knower of Jada is also gone, because the knower of all knower is also a Jada. From the point
aham
of view of
goes. Aham pratyaya goes. So
yes,
in the aham pratyaya goes. What that maybe it is not possibly put in words. Rather, in
right.
the aparoksha, that knowing of one, that is even without sprouting your I am in it, right? Gnanam. And Anantam is that expansiveness of it is available. It need not be verbalized. And then you see that there is no abhava in this. There is no, that abhava is not possible in all directions. Then, that Satyam, Gnanam, Anantam, it is inseparable from each other. That is, then apply that is the application, potentially here. Indicated by Shankara. That's how it is navigating so far, Vinodji.
Okay. I mean,
We'll contemplate again, Vinodji.
yeah, contemplate on that.
Today's class is more relaxing, and as Prakash had put it, more and more manana is happening day by day as the course is going further. And what I feel is that among the three adjectives, I shouldn't call it adjectives anyway, among these three qualities, jnana is a bit trickier than the other two, where the knower actually peeps in time and again, and who has to be annihilated by the other two aspects. And so both knower and the knowing aspect and the known thing, they are all jada, isn't it, Abindoji? And only the Chaitanya aspect of that bhava sadhana should be contemplated upon, and that is anyway an experience, I feel. And
That is why, Ganesh,
yeah.
When I was taking Kena Upanishad, that mantra which I explained it, Pratibodha viditam matam amrutattu hivindate. Why I'm keeping on repeating that? Every experience is a knowledge for us. What we call it as knowing is by way of experiencing. And in every experience, from our breathing, seeing, eating, touching, walking, doing anything and everything, when all these things are happening, the Triputi is there, knower, known, and the known.
Yeah.
But there is a substratum or a space like knowledge in which it is happening. Because if knowledge is not common with the known and the knower, the knowing cannot happen. Both the known and the knower, and at the time of knowing, has to be in the same, what you call, conditions. Then only the knowing takes place. That is why we are not able to know many things in the world, because we are not able to tune to many things. But if you know how to tune yourself to requirement, anything in the world can be instantaneously known to you, because we are mentally capable of it, but we are not having the knowledge or the capacity or the potency to know how to tune ourselves to things. A person like, a scientist can tune to his aspects. A musician will tune to his aspects. An artist will tune to his aspect. Like that, each one of us are tuned to a specialist line only. But if one person can tune, why not the other person? Technically speaking, or practically, The mind, intellect and the sense organs of all human beings are the same.
Same.
What makes us different is our capacity or potency to tune ourselves for the science or the music or the painting or the, different things in the, what is to be the, that is why we need to know our substratum in which all these things are taking place. Then that Mundaka Upanishad mantra comes into reality. Yatnyatva sarvamidam vitnyadam bhavati. By knowing which everything becomes known. Only in such a condition it becomes a reality. So right now we don't have that capacity. So we have the triputi, known, knower and the subject. But we are also aware of the substratum. But we are not able to identify with our substratum. That is our true nature, not the knower. The knower of the waking is different. No knower of dream is different. The knower of the dreamer cannot know the no, the waker. Waker knows only part of the dreamer thing which is lastly remembered in the mind. Both are not remembered when we are in our deep sleep. So, we are there, yet we have no control on the waking dream and deep sleep because we are not knowing what is our nature.
Yes, Binduji. So the very aspect of this act of knowing itself is the challenge for the mind. Or mind means for the entire contemplation part, where these three, against these triputi, these three great words, Satya, Jnanam, Anantam, Brahma, this has to be applied simultaneously. One or the other will not hold good when we apply to different things in the world. So it is a continuous process of application of all the three on everything and every experience we have. And finally, where all the three clicks, that might be the place of self-effulgence, I feel.
Yes.
Thank you, Binduji.
Thank you,
Thank you
Ganesh.
very much. Today, a lot of manana took place. We are very grateful to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anyway, beautiful room. Thank you so much, Binduji. We'll all be here Sunday at the same time. I've mentioned a lot of the logistics a couple times already today, so I won't again, other than join us at 8:30 p.m. IST on Sundays if you can. The regular classes are always Wednesday and Friday at the same time here. And Prakash, if you could close us out, and then Binduji will end.
Yes, thank you. Again, a big thank you to Binduji for leading us into this deep manana of how one can contemplate on Satyam Jnanam Anantam and how Brahman is realized, not known. I keep that as a distinction for now. So as the manana deepens, maybe I will contextualize it better. And I hope everyone in the audience is getting the same aspect of kind of unlearning the intellectualization. So I thank you for everyone for coming, and special thanks to Binduji and Artemisia. Over to you, Binduji.
Thank you, Artemisia. Thank you, Prakash, Venkat and Ganesh for coming up and asking the questions. Okay, Hari Om. Namaste.
Namaste, Binduji.
Namaste.
Hari Om.